20% of Reform MPs are currently under investigation for bullying female colleagues, which isn't a good look for the party, but don't worry, Reform have taken a hard line and they've actually suspended him from the party, which means that 100% of former Reform MPs are under investigation for bullying female colleagues, which still isn't a great look, is it? Like 100% of your former MPs. Imagine if that was any other party. Plus, Reform picked up a new MP at the recent by-elections, which means now 20% of Reform MPs have been found guilty of misconduct in their former role as a magistrate. Plus, 20% of Reform MPs have said publicly that they're planning to claim a lucrative EU pension from their time as an MEP, despite encouraging the rest of us to vote ourselves out of Europe through Brexit. So while the rest of us are feeling the pinch of leaving Europe, 20% of Reform MPs are going to be picking up a cool $70,000 a year of EU money. And did you know that mere months before joining Reform, 20% of Reform MPs once called another 20% of Reform MPs a pound shop Nigel Farage? And yet a third 20% of Reform MPs actually is Nigel Farage. A worrying 20% of Reform MPs boycotted England games because the players were taking the knee ahead of games as a gesture against racism. A staggering 20% of Reform MPs have admitted that they once changed their mind and decided not to vote on a bill in the House of Commons because they thought other MPs were giggling at them. This 20% of Reform MPs was at the time a Conservative MP, and the vote was over Rishi Sunak's controversial Rwanda bill to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. So did this MP vote with the courage of his convictions? Did he vote to represent the will of his constituents? Did he vote because he believed in the vision of his party's leader, or even to protest against that vision? None of the above. He decided to abstain because he didn't want to get laughed at. The newest 20% of Reform MPs recently expressed concern over violence against women in migrant hotels, which is fair enough, but did you know that 20% of Reform MPs, or 25% of male Reform MPs, have been convicted of assault for pushing to the ground and repeatedly kicking an ex-girlfriend outside of a nightclub? Meaning that statistically, a male Reform MP is a much bigger threat to a woman than an asylum seeker. And to be clear, the 20% of Reform MPs who have been convicted of assaulting a woman are not the same 20% who've been suspended for allegedly bullying female colleagues. The 20% of Reform MPs who have been convicted of assaulting a woman haven't actually been suspended at all, despite not declaring their conviction prior to being elected in 2024. Now, you might feel that I'm being unfair presenting the information in this way. After all, they say that you can prove anything with statistics. But it would be a lot harder for me to make Reform look bad like this if they hadn't collectively done all of the things that I just mentioned between them. But they did. And on balance, I can't help but feel that that is more their fault than it is mine.